King Yangzi's mind became lively. He began to want to rely on the reputation and strength of Teiwei's sect, establishing the image of a predecessor or mentor in the Eastern Jew, instead of being like a puppet, can only hide behind Feng Shao. But unfortunately, within the sect, those who obey Feng Shuiyan's words, there are many more people who care about his status as the sect leader. Even so, his junior apprentice, Qin Zhao, junior sister to Yuanxi, everyone pays more attention to Feng Shao, but not his senior brother, the sect leader. He even doubted, maybe one day when we wake up together, someone urged him to abdicate in favor of another, directly hand over the sect leader position to Feng Shao. His concern, it's not without reason. But there were early signs. Once upon a time, he entered the treasure vault. I want to take away a magical artifact. Unexpectedly, disciple guarding the treasure pavilion. It actually said, "This matter should be decided by Feng Shao." Only the wind slightly nodded. Agreed with him. Only then can one take away the magical artifact. It's this matter. King Yangzi felt extremely uncomfortable inside. He doubts. Perhaps the wind is gentle. He has gradually been sidelined as the leader. This sect will eventually have its day. Everything will be decided by Feng Shao. Actually, we can't blame Feng Shao for this. Feng Shao established this rule mainly to avoid treasures and magical artifacts in the treasure pavilion. Mismatch in attributes. When the time comes to use it, there's nothing available, although it is said that the disciple guarding the treasure pavilion a bit stubborn. But we can't blame that disciple for this, because Feng Shao said it early in the morning. The entire sect, everyone must follow the rules, no matter what identity a person has. No one is an exception. As for the sect leader being sidelined, then it's purely King Yangzi's own doing. Feng Shao himself, he is still a person who respects his teachers and values the way of learning. The prestige of King Yangzi within the Teiwei sect place great importance on. So, in the early days of establishing the sect, Feng Shao, they deliberately involve their master as well, even if it's King Taizai. Doing nothing at all, at least make your presence felt. However, many of Feng Shao's decisions, all of it was incomprehensible to King Yangzi. In the end, it often yields surprising results. At the beginning, King Yangzi will also come out to make his presence felt. But when he realized it basically has no effect. After being unable to make any decisions, he directly became the hands-off manager. Take care of everything. They were all handed over to Feng Shao to handle. At the beginning, Feng Shao, I have also opposed it, and hope Master will, able to participate more in sect construction. He almost said to his master, do not ask him to do anything. He just needs to liven up the atmosphere. However, then King Yangzi's thoughts, yet both innocent and naive. He felt, since many things, you don't need to make decisions on your own. Then it's best to leave it to Feng Shao to handle it well. Why must I put myself out there? So, this is the fundamental reason why King Yangzi was marginalized. It wasn't Feng Shao who actively sidelined him, but he voluntarily sidelined himself. At the beginning, a disciple asked King Yangzi for guidance, and King Yangzi, all at once, pushed on to Feng Shao. Every time it's just one sentence. Go ask your master brother. I'll discuss it with your master brother, the chief. Over time, nature will also. Naturally, no disciples came over, sought his advice. Everyone went to find Feng Shao, poor Feng Shao, to develop the sect. Even my own cultivation time has been delayed. The entire sect. Every detail matters. All the worries fell on him alone. He really didn't want to bear so much. But unfortunately, no one could share his worries. He could only grit his teeth and endure. But fortunately, the current Teiwei sect has gradually gotten back on track, except for major matters. There's nothing going on. He needs to worry about it. It is precisely because of this King Yangzi's feelings about being sidelined grew dissatisfied. At this moment, Yi Chen brought up this matter, just hit King Yangzi's soft spot. Now, the Teiwei sect, it has clearly become a one-man show for Feng Shao. Even Qin Zhao and Du Yuanxi. Everyone unconditionally supports Feng Shao. He is the sect leader. In fact, I can no longer manage the affairs of the sect, even if he speaks to his disciples. What instructions were given, those disciples will also be the first to. First, go find Feng Shao. Please ask again. Only after receiving permission will they take action. So now King Yangzi urgently needs someone. Support oneself within the sect. At the very least, they should be able to match Qin Zhao and Du Yuanxi. Only by resisting can it work. And the sudden appearance of this Shishu. Perhaps it's an opportunity. This master uncle, although I didn't give it to the sect. What contributions have been made? But after all, the backup is there. Every sect, they place great importance on hierarchy and status. So although this Shishu, feeling invisible in the sect, but as long as you sit there, no one can ignore him. But King Yangzi felt, if we could unite with this master uncle, perhaps it can be resolved. The dilemma I am currently facing. In this moment of time, King Yangzi thought a lot. I have also come to understand many things. After clarifying your goals, expression on the face suddenly became amiable. He smiled gently at the old man and said, Shishu has not been in this sect for a long time. But after all, I am just a humble person from the Wei clan. Today Shishu can return to Teiwei sect. The junior, as the sect leader, is filled with joy. I've just lost contact with my Shishu. I hope you won't take offense, master uncle. The old man didn't expect. Yi Chen casually said a few words. Unexpectedly, King Yangzi was allowed, suddenly changed their attitude. Uncontrollably in my heart, increased admiration for Yi Chen. At this moment, having received the acknowledgment from King Yangzi, the old man snorted coldly, muffled voice. Now you don't doubt. I have become an impostor. King Yangzi smiled and said what the master uncle mentioned. What language is this? Master uncle has been gone for many years. Never returned to the sect. The junior couldn't recognize the master uncle at first. That makes a lot of sense. But in the hearts of the younger generation, these years. But I constantly think about senior uncle. What else does the old man want to say? Yet Yi Chen rushed towards him, gave a knowing glance. Liu could only express what he wanted to say with joy, swallowed it back down. He simply said, it's nothing. As the sect leader, after all, considering things. To be more thorough, I won't hold this against you. I am returning to the sect this time. Come for just one thing. King Yangzi pretended not to understand and asked, I wonder what brings you here, Shishu? The old man patted Yi Chen's shoulder, said, this kid really suits my taste. The qualifications are quite good too. If he can take on the role, the position of the holy son of the Teiwei sect, I believe I can lead Teiwei Zong to greater heights. As for your eldest disciple, I have also heard about it. This person practices diligently. If he leads the Teiwei sect, I fear it's too powerful. Sooner or later we will decline. King Yangzi glanced at Yi Chen. Eyes slightly squinted. Goodness, this kid. Still thinking about the position of the Holy Sun? Actually, if we don't talk about being sidelined. King Yangzi's view on Feng Shao's abilities. I still agree very much. After all, Taiwaizang, now thriving day by day, it is relying on Feng Shao's efforts over the years. But the elder apprentice said, Feng Shao Hu Dao Zai Gong wants to let someone who has never been part of a sect, those who have contributed, become the Holy Sun. What is the reasoning behind this? King Yangzi said calmly, Master, you may not know. Feng Shao in these years made significant contributions to the sect. The position of his Holy Son, it is also well deserved. If it were just based on the words of my Shishu, the choice of the Holy Son has been changed. Only fear the sect above and below. There will be quite a few people who disagree with this. The old man slammed the table. What are you angry about? As the leader, who do you want to be the Holy Son? It's not just a matter of your word. As for the opinions of others, why bother with him? At this moment, Yi Chen, Master, my respected elder. Actually, the disciple regards this position of the Holy Son. There is no ulterior motive. It was only the disciple who was traveling down the mountain. Often hear others mention, Saint son of other sects, what immense power it possesses. And I, the Holy Son of Taiwaizang, compared to this, it is far from being enough. Brother Feng has indeed made significant contributions to the sect. When outsiders mention the Holy Son of our sect, mention more. Yet it is often not the contribution of Senior Brother Feng, but rather the realm of Senior Brother Feng. Speaking of this face, Yi Chen showed a look of shame on his face. It seems like the realm of Feng Shao is too low and has been lost. His face is quite ordinary. King Yangzi looked at Yi Chen's pretentious demeanor. A cold laugh in my heart. Ming and Sansan a few times. I desire this position of the Holy Son. How can they still shamelessly say that? Self-regarding the position of the Holy Son, there is no desire for greed. It's simply the biggest chicken in the world. Thinking of this face, King Yangzi asked Yi Chen with a smiling expression. Yi Shishe, not knowing, what are your thoughts on this? Yi Chen calmly said, according to my limited understanding as a disciple, the position of the Holy Son, it must be held by the one with the best aptitude in this sect. Only then can we greatly enhance the prestige of our Teiwei sect. As for disciples who have made contributions to the sect, one must hold the position of elder or deacon. Only then can it be considered mutually beneficial. Yi Chen finished speaking. Before King Yangzi could speak, the old man chuckled while stroking his beard. Not bad, not bad. You truly are the person I set my sights on. Thoughtful indeed. King Yangzi's mouth twitched slightly. These two people. What a peculiar thing this is. The 33rd tier of the Three Lives Pagoda. Yi Chen kept saying, I have no desire for the position of the Holy Son. King Yangzi would definitely not believe this. As for this uncle master, perhaps we can seek external assistance. But with this level of cognitive ability, this made King Yangzi think more carefully. Finally, King Yangzi believed this matter was of great importance. Do not make hasty decisions. Temporarily brushed it off. Fortunately, the old man. It is known that this matter cannot be resolved overnight. So there wasn't much more to say. But before walking out of the hall, the old man speaks to King Yangzi, ordered a refined version of the Teiwei Heart Sutra to make up for his shortcomings in martial arts techniques, seeking the possibility of breaking through to the realm of transformation. That day, Teiwei sect above and below, the news of the master uncle returning to the mountain gate spread. While discussing this news, what the disciples were most interested in was this master uncle ancestor. Where did it come from? Why, I had never heard of it before. And Qin Zhao and Du Yuanxi. After hearing about this matter, the two people. However, it was met with disdain. When Teiwei sect demonstrated at that time, separated from the sect. The Teiwei sect is rising again. You know I'm back. Without a doubt, such people can only share wealth and honor, cannot share adversity. If one day Teiwei sect has declined again, he will definitely pat his butt again, just walk away, without hesitation at all. However, this master uncle, although there are issues with character, but after all, it was placed there. They didn't say much more, just instructed the disciples below. When I saw this elder uncle again, your attitude should be more respectful. That's just how it is. At this moment, the old man is being led by Yi Chen, exploring everywhere on Teiwei Mountain. I remember when I first left the Teiwei sect. Teiwei sect is both secluded and brilliant. The buildings on the mountain, most of them have long since fallen into ruin, fully packed and calculated. There are only a few small courtyards suitable for living. In addition, there is a kitchen for cooking. Aside from that, there's nothing else. And now on Teiwei Mountain, not only rebuilt the lobby and the smelting workshop, even the Kangjin Pavilion, Treasure Tower, Alchemist Pavilion, foundries, and other buildings. They have all been established. Compared to several decades ago, it's completely two different faces. After wandering around again, the old man couldn't help but sigh. When I was at the sect, it would be great if we had these nice things too. You all, what a perfect time to pick. Yi Chen smiled. Since the Shishu clan enjoys. Then let's take a look around more. After all, you are a senior in this field. At this moment, the two of them, I completely didn't think of it. These buildings. Who is ultimately in charge of establishing this? The old man shook his head. Forget it. There will be plenty of opportunities to visit in the future. I have more important things to do now. The important matters pointed out by the elder. What he referred to was the new edition of the Teiwei Heart Sutra in his hand. He was stuck on the golden elixir mirror for too long. Every day I ponder how to break through the current realm. The opportunity for breakthrough is right in front of us. He was already itching with anticipation. Where is there a mind to hang around everywhere? Follow Yi Chen for a walk around the mountain. It's just to get familiar with the environment first. Then Yi Chen then sought help for the elderly man, arranged a temporary accommodation. After the old man entered the room, he hurriedly closed the door, opened the Teiwei Heart Sutra. Study it carefully. After arranging for the elderly, Yi Chen returned to the third division, but before he could wait, returned to one's own residence. On the way, I ran into my senior sister. Han Baiyan. Han Bian called out to Yi Fan, asking about the junior apprentice. These days, where have you been? Yi Chen had once been at Bifeng Garden. Gave Han Baiyan a slap. Therefore, facing Han Bian, it's hard not to feel a bit guilty. At this moment, Han Baiyan called out and inquired. Yi Chen's expression suddenly felt a bit unnatural. He let out a dry laugh, said it was nothing. Junior brother these days. I just wandered around at the foot of the mountain. Relax a bit. Han Bian frowned and said, Junior brother. Some time ago, once there were 3 magical practitioners of the Golden Course stage. You want to take action against our Teiwei sect disciples. Although these 3 magic shows, all were repelled by senior brother Shengzi. But recently these days, Try to go out as little as possible, to avoid being targeted by those from the demonic path. Yi Chen listened, couldn't help but curiously ask, "Eldest senior sister, this magic show, why target the disciples of our Teiwei sect?" Han Bian shook her head. "I am not sure. However, these days, it's better to be cautious and attentive. You should stay home these days. Focus on your training in the sect. Your third senior sister. It is because this matter has not yet returned to the mountain." Yi Chen was startled, quickly asked, "What is going on?" Han Bian recounted what happened at that time. "I talked to Yi Chen. Then it was mentioned that, after brother Feng returned to the mountain, say, San Shaimai was affected by his secret technique. It has been transported to another place. So, it will take some time. Only then can we return to the mountain. You don't need to worry too much about him. Sister disciple San, fortune will favor the kind-hearted. Will definitely return unscathed." Yi Chen heard this face. "But deep down I was a bit frustrated. Fen Shao, it's the Wind Prince again." Yi Chen was unsure. What methods does Feng Shao really use? Sending Lu Qingyuan away. But undoubtedly this matter will let Lu Qingyuan develop a certain fondness for it. This is something Yi Chen absolutely cannot accept. He had long had it in his heart. Treat Lu Qingyuan as your own Jin Lun. Absolutely no one is allowed to interfere, even if that person is the holy son of the sect. That won't work either. Yi Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. There was a murderous glint in his eyes. This time, with a master uncle as support, he will definitely secure the position of the holy son. When he obtained the position of the holy son, Feng Shao's good days in the sect, it's come to an end. Lu Qingyuan never thought that. I actually managed to break through at the last moment. Still able to kill, like a fire-swallowing giant python, such a dangerous and ferocious demon beast. Looking at the enormous serpent larva on the ground, Lu Qingyuan fell into a moment of daze. At this moment, Feng Shao's calm voice came through. "Congratulations, Sister Lu, promoted to the Golden Core realm. However, your promotion this time is too hasty. The boundary is unstable. You should start meditating and regulating your breath immediately. Consolidate the boundaries. I can protect you." Lu Qingyuan looked towards Feng Shao. The expression is very complicated. He opened his mouth and raised his right arm, closed the right palm, a look of wanting to speak but holding back. Feng Shao seemed to have guessed Lu Qingyuan's thoughts. Waved his hand. "Speaking of junior sister Lu, if there's anything to discuss, let's talk about it later. The current urgent matter. Still consolidating the realm. You need to know. The realm of the golden elixir is extremely important. It concerns your future path of cultivation. Half-heartedness is unacceptable." Lu Qingyuan nodded slightly. "Thank you, Win Shikshan, for the flute melody." Then Lu Qingyuan then sat down cross-legged, after forming a spell gesture, then began to practice the technique. While Lu Qingyuan was consolidating his realm, Feng Shao casually found a place to sit down. Looking at the crimson gourd in hand, a look of satisfaction appeared on his face. "This journey, although perilous, but fortunately, in the end I successfully obtained the 6 Yang Spirit Fire. After obtaining the 6 Yang Spirit Fire, strength of the sect, it can be improved again. And he finally has some spare time. Think about your own matters." Feng Shao had already, 15 years ago, he entered the realm of the immortals. The reason it took so long. None have been able to enter the golden course stage. It's because he never manages to find the time, enhance one's qualifications. It's rare to embark on the path of cultivation. He doesn't want to settle. So, restructuring qualifications is imperative. Just this trip out. It will take at least 2 to 3 months. Sorry, but I can't assist with that. Then it's uncertain how long it will take. It's been such a long time since I was in the sect. He really couldn't let it go. Thus, the journey has been delayed. But this time, obtain the 6 yang spirit fire. After arranging the subsequent matters, he finally had time for this long trip. He closed his eyes. A map of the Eastern Zhou dynasty flashes in my mind. At the westernmost edge of the Eastern Zhou, at the location near the middle of the week, a small red dot, faintly visible, around the small point. There are several towering peaks reaching into the clouds. Yin Yin will. The red dot guards within. If there is a well-informed practitioner, looking at this map, will discover it at the first moment, the location of the red dot. It is precisely among the top 10 realms, the most mysterious place, the location of the 3 Lifetimes Tower. Legend, Tower of 3 Lifetimes, originally a treasure of the celestial realm. Unknowingly, for some reason, I have fallen into this realm. Among them is a 1,000 yuan pillar, 6 in pool and Shuming platform. 3 great miracles. The 1,000 yuan pillar governs the fate of the world. The heart-cleansing pool can cleanse, but startled and troubled. The Shuming platform reflects past and present lives. However, such legends, profound and profound, no one can verify. Therefore, no one knows its authenticity. But the way of the wind whistle, the legend is true. He wants to reshape his qualifications. We must make a trip to the Sansheng Tower, drink from the heart-purifying pool. Then, at the command tower, I look back at my past life. Then, by Kaiying Yuan Zhu, transmigration to this life. Then, with the help of the 6 Paths chapter from the Kaiying Kan Classic, the recorded cultivation techniques, reshaping one's physical condition, and on this day, but the 3 Lives Pagoda. It is one of the top 10 forbidden places, the dangerous parts within. It is simply unimaginable. Feng Xiao has a way to enter the Sansheng Tower, but it cannot be guaranteed. May this journey be safe and smooth. However, the path of cultivation, it is already going against the heavens. Fortune favors the bold. If there is no spirit of adventure at all, then there is no need to fix it then. Thinking of this, he took a glance. Lu Qingyuan in meditation and cultivation. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Within this sect, the first golden core disciple has appeared. He is the senior brother. We need to tighten up a bit. Chapter 31, Return to the Mountain. Lu Qingyuan successfully ascended to the golden core stage and completed the consolidation afterward. Feng Xiao went together with Lu Qingyuan, returned to Tewei sect. On the way back, the wind whistle was heartfelt, explaining the realm of golden core to Lu Qingyuan. Points to note. Lu Qingyuan, under the guidance of the wind whistle, I have benefited greatly. While listening to the wind whistle's guidance, he felt a hint of doubt in his heart. Why the wind whistles still haven't been promoted to the golden core stage. This is the understanding of the golden elixir realm. Little do they know. The wind whistle has long passed through the Kaiying Kan book. To every realm, everyone has a certain level of understanding. The Kaiying Kan Classic encompasses all things, though it is just a technique. Yet to the world below, almost all spiritual practices are involved. It is a true masterpiece. Encyclopedic martial arts techniques. At that time, Feng Xiao was able to complete tasks on behalf of others. Most of the Tawei Heart Sutra, it relies on the Kaiying Kan treasure book. Learn from related subjects. Change to someone else. It may take a lifetime. It's hard to make up for everything. The missing 1% of content. 3 days later, Feng Xiao and Lu Qingyuan back on Teiwei Mountain. At the first moment of returning to Teiwei Mountain, Feng Xiao headed straight to the alchemy pavilion. The scarlet gourd passed into the hands of Elder Zhu. Elder Zhu looked at the crimson gourd. The kid's face showed surprise. "What is this again?" "The spirit fire gathered from the milk search." Feng Xiao laughed. "Just don't worry about how I got it from milk. This contains the 6 yang spiritual fire. It should be much better than evasive remarks." Elder Zhu couldn't help but widen his eyes. "Not just much stronger. It's simply too strong. But as far as I know, in this world, aside from the 3 sacred places, there is no Liu Yang spirit fire anywhere else." "You little rascal. Once again, it is the 6 yang spirit fire obtained from milk." Speaking of this, Elder Zhu had a face full of incredible. "You won't be going to. They must have gone to steal the fire seed from the 3 great sacred lands." "Stop rolling your eyes like that. Steal the fire seed from the Holy Land. Even if I have the courage to do this, I don't have that capability either. All right, just don't worry about so much. Anyway, the 6 yang spirit fire. It has been handed over to you. Go back and find Lao Song. Place the 6 yang sacred fire down. In the future, the alchemy pavilion and the forge. Then we can use the 6 suns spirit fire, buying alchemy and forging. Additionally, I also plan to use the 6 yang spirit fire, enhance the power of Hushan Town. However, on this matter, it's my weak point. You and Lao Song help me study this." Elder Zhu, mosses spreading red gourds, a look that shows she can't bear to part with it. "Don't worry. This 6 yang spirit fire, I promise to be with Lao Song. Everything is arranged clearly for you." Elder Zhu knew that. Feng Xiao went out to gather spirit fire, but I really didn't expect him. They actually brought the 6 yang spirit fire. This 6 yang spiritual fire, but it is extremely rare, used for alchemy and casting. The effect is outstanding as well. And according to what he knows, the entire Eastern Zhu, only the 3 great sacred places, there are 6 yang spirit fires, the 3 great sacred lands, to have the current scale. This 6 yang spirit fire, their contributions cannot be overlooked. You can say, Tai Huizong obtained the 6 yang spiritual fire, just barely, can barely keep up with a top-tier sect. It was mentioned in the same breath. The remaining, it only lacks depth. After bidding farewell to Elder Zhu, the wind whistle rushed straight into the inner hall. The last time I left. Quite rushed. There are many things. Too late to explain. And this time, after solving the issue with the spirit fire, some things, it must be resolved. For example, Yi Chen's problem. Feng Xiao used to really dislike it. Yi Chen's selfish and self-serving behavior. It was just Yi Chen from before. I haven't done anything too outrageous yet. The wind whistle finally opened one eye at him. Close one eye. But when Yi Chen made his move, when seizing the words of evasion, it means this person has completely lost the bottom line of being human. This person is placed in the sect. It will only bring disaster. However, on the way to the inner hall, the wind whistle came from other disciples' mouths. Learned about another one. Unexpected news for him. A figure that hasn't been seen for decades. Shishu Zhu has returned. When I heard the news, Feng Xiao's expression became strange. Feng Xiao is among this generation of disciples. the first to join the master's sect. But in his impression, there has never been anything like this in this sect. What master, uncle, ancestor, master and two Shishu, never mentioned either. Originally, Feng Shao thought the previous generation of the master. It might just be one person. Unexpectedly, it turns out there is also a Shishuzu. It's just this Shishuzu didn't show up early, won't appear late. Why did it have to appear at this moment? So, the wind whistle directed towards the disciple. Inquire carefully, facing the inquiry of senior brother Shengzi. This disciple, knowing everything, I speak without reservation, words without end, he said he doesn't know either. That master uncle grandfather, how did it suddenly appear? Just heard. It is. Senior brother Yi Chen brought him up the mountain, and right from the start they were shouting, looking for the leader. Shenzi Shixin, you mentioned this Shishuzu. Is it true or false? The wind whistle remains ambiguous. He said softly, this is hard to say. However, this matter, just discuss it privately. Never take it. Discuss in public. No matter this Shishuzu, what is true and what is false. Since the sect leader is master, did not drive him out too gently. So much. It has been obtained. The recognition of the master by the sect leader. In other words, at least the headmaster and master. It is an acknowledgement of his identity, since the sect leader has already admitted. What about the other disciples? No matter how much you doubt, then we can only admit it. Originally, this matter was related to Feng Shao. It doesn't matter, just hearing about it. This person is actually, Yi Chen brought it up the mountain, in the heart of the wind. I couldn't help but think a little deeper. The wind whistle recalls, seen in a past life. In those fantasy novels, it seems to have appeared before. Many similar plot lines. When the protagonist is in a sect, when there's no support, they often suddenly appear. A senior predecessor from our school, come be his support. So, the protagonist originally comes from the unnoticed little transparent one, leaped to become the entire sect, a hot celebrity. Even the sect leader had to give him some face. Current situation. How much does the Taoist priestess know? The momentum of the support is coming. The plan for this trip is to blow the wind whistle. It is directed towards the master and sect leader. Report that Yi Chen has made his move. Attack on fellow disciples and seize the matter of evading responsibility. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. Immediately expel Yi Chen from the sect. But this is precisely the requirement. Yi Chen was unaware. Where does the master uncle come from? Suddenly I had a strong backing. What's even worse is, this mountain retreat also gained the recognition of my master. What is revealed here? Some information. Let the wind whistle. I have to think a little deeper. After thinking for a while, Feng Shao helplessly shook his head. What's the situation now? Don't understand at all. I can only ask the master first. Let's discuss this matter later. But when the wind whistle entered the inner hall, after meeting the master, before the wind whistle, say a few more words. Suddenly a sound came from outside. A carefree voice. Ping An, let me discuss this with you. This cultivation technique. King Yangzi recognized the speaker. It was just a few days ago. The suddenly appearing Shishu. Her brows couldn't help but furrow slightly. But he quickly recovered, said softly to the wind, the person coming is your grandmaster's disciple. Always away. I haven't returned to the mountain for many years. I know you have never seen it before, this senior uncle master. But in front of Shishuzu, do not forget the etiquette. Feng Shao Chui Shu Deashi. Before long, a man named Lari Lutta has a beard. The old man in white, entering the inner hall, Chan King Yang said, King Yang, this book's martial arts technique, after improvements have been made. Indeed, it's quite significant. But there are some details. There may be some issues. I'm here to discuss with you. In these 3 days, the old man took it. After this perfected technique, it can be said to be like finding a treasure. These 3 days, everyone is tossing and turning, constantly studying. This book is called The Whistle of the Wind, by referring to the Kainkan Sutra, complete martial arts manual. It really is better than what the old man has experienced over the years. The cultivation method discovered through personal exploration. It's much more reliable. Some he thought about for a long time. The places that have yet to be understood. After a detailed explanation of the cultivation technique, immediately made him understand thoroughly the realm of self these days. It seems there is a subtle shift. It might not be long before. Then we can attempt to break through to the realm of divinity. It's just that some parts of the technique, contrary to his previous thoughts. He pondered for a long time. It's hard to say whether it's something I thought of myself. The cultivation method is indeed correct. Just come over. I planned to discuss with King Yangzi, but it wasn't long after entering that classroom. He then saw the wind whistle beside the snow. Unable to resist, I asked King Yangzi, King Yan, who is this guy? King Yangzi smiled faintly. Speaking of master uncle, I have not yet introduced you. This is my eldest disciple, Feng Shao. Feng Shao also bowed to the elder. Feng Shao has met with his grandmaster. Feng Shao, you are the wind whistle. Feng Shao. The old man heard this. After the name, the eyes couldn't help but narrow slightly. Looking closely at the wind whistle, after a while, he let out a light hum. Speaking of the wind whistle, Feng Shao, I heard that the current Tai Wai Zong, it's already up to you to decide. Is this true? The wind whistle is neither humble nor overbearing. The words of my master's granduncle carry great weight. Feng Shao has gained Master Zun's trust, managed the various affairs of the sect, all entrusted to the disciple's hands. These years as a disciple, trembling with fear as if walking on thin ice, afraid of making mistakes, betrayed the trust of my master. Over the years, no one dares to forget the master. Jiu Association, brothers and sisters of Teiwei sect, it's also for the sake of my master's reputation. He had great trust in his disciples. Although I control the Teiwei sect, there is a bit of King Yangzi, the reason for the dismissed shopkeeper. But in front of this outsider, master uncle ancestor, it's time to give respect to the master. It still needs to be given. The old man let out a cold laugh. Talking sounds better than singing. Let me ask you, why are outsiders not allowed in the sect? Whenever Toei Zong is mentioned, only know you as the holy son of this sect. Yet unbeknownst to them, the sect leader, Feng Shao calmly replied, there are many misunderstandings about this matter. In fact, it is a great misunderstanding. The master devoted himself to studying the sect's techniques. It's really difficult to find the energy to manage the affairs of the sect. The disciple is the chief disciple of the sect leader. It is necessary to take on the responsibility of management, to alleviate my master's worries and solve his problems. Communication with other sects. Many disciples stepped forward. Therefore, only outside talents will be more familiar with the disciples. As for what the master, uncle, ancestor said, but I don't know where to begin. The wind whistle has already been heard. This so-called Shishuzu, just here to pick a fight. As for why this is the case, the wind whistle doesn't require deep thought. You can guess pretty close. It must be that troublemaker Yi Chen's instigation. But the wind whistles. After all, I have been in charge of the sect for nearly 30 years. Internal and external matters, big and small, everything is arranged in an orderly manner. Interpersonal relations. It also has its own set of rules. Although faced with the unreasonable criticism from my master's uncle, but the wind whistle did not bother him. It's just a matter of agreeing, isn't it? Can we really be afraid of that old man? Chapter 32, The Stinky Stick. The old man didn't expect the answer of the wind whistle, so meticulous and precise. For a moment I was at a loss for words, but soon after he became furious out of embarrassment, pointing at the wind whistle's nose. Scolded, "You little rascal!" Facing criticism from elders, not only unrepentant. Instead, they spoke back defiantly. To treat my grand uncle this way, to other elders, I fear they will become even more reckless with their words. Speaking of this, the old man even looked up to the sky and lamented, "How ridiculous that the heavens are blind! How could you let this number take control? It's truly sad and lamentable." As soon as these words were spoken, "The wind whistle hasn't done much yet." King Yangzi's expression, "It is already dark." This old man's mouth, it speaks of the heavens being blind. In fact, it's an insult to him. This is the responsibility of the sect leader, having eyes but unable to see. Actually, King Yangzi, although he is respected as a shashu uncle in a teacher-student context, but in my heart not even a little, did not take him to heart. Not to mention anything else. Until now, he didn't remember at all this master's uncle's name, didn't think to ask, because he doesn't care at all. "I think highly of you, Paul Yushishu. I don't think much of you, whoever you are. Feng Shao's Kaigong skills are exceptional." Wen Yan just smiled, regarding what Shishuzu said. This left the disciple feeling a bit puzzled. This is also the first time for the disciple meeting the Shishuzu master uncle. Why did the master uncle come up immediately? Just for the disciple. There are such strong opinions. Perhaps you were swayed by the slander of a petty person. Reckless. The old man became furious. Others have opinions about you. You just say, "They are a petty person." It's simply absurd. Right and wrong. This door. There are people like you. Such great misfortune. If it weren't for considering the other party is an elder. The whistle had long been given to the other side. Rolled her eyes. Who exactly is it? Inverting right and wrong. This is a matter. There's an old alley like yours. That must be a great misfortune. However, considering the other party is older, may have a bit of dementia. Feng Shao didn't hold it against him, but turned around. He said to King Yangzi, "Master, disciple has come this time. I have something to report to the master." King Yangzi nodded and said. The wind whistle echoed. The disciple a few days ago, leading the junior disciples down the mountain, heading to the refuge garden. The sect seeks a way to avoid calamity. The words of avoidance have already been obtained. But there was a masked figure dressed in black. Snatch and grab. Not only did it take away the words of caution, also injured 3 of Sister Han. Afterwards, an investigation was conducted by the disciples. Discover the masked person. It turns out to be the disciple Yi Chen. The disciple truly does not understand. Why did Yi Chen disregard the interests of the sect? Boldly snatched the items of the sect. It also injured a fellow disciple. This matter is of great importance. The disciple does not dare to take liberties. I have come to report to the master. I hope you will make the final decision, master. King Yangzi Wenyan. However, before King Yangzi could speak, the old man suddenly burst into a stream of curses. "You little rascal, how shameless you are! You little rascal, how shameless! Others just have an opinion about you. You actually want to expel him from the sect. With heart and its treachery. The Teiwei sect has someone like you. Truly a misfortune for the sect. Today I will uphold the ancestral teachings of the sect. Teach you, you who are extremely capable. Speak." The old man waved his hand. "Do not shoot towards the wind whistle." The wind whistle retreated backward. I feigned ignorance and asked what my master uncle meant by this. Shishuzu repeatedly says he wants to enforce the law, not knowing what law one is holding on to. I don't know which rule the disciple has violated. Please guide me, Uncle Master. The old man's arm suddenly froze in mid-air, though he makes a fuss and creates chaos. How shameless! One must pay attention to the reputation of their master and uncle when taking action. Qi Fengxiao said this, but it left him speechless. Yes, what rule did Fengxiao violate? Countdown to a few thousand years online. He couldn't find it. A reason that can justify itself. But once a person gets older, it can easily become very stubborn. Feels like I'm the only one who's right in the world. What others say is all wrong, even if one realizes they were wrong. Sometimes they can be quite unreasonable. They must admit their mistakes first. And this old man, it's clear that there's this problem. He insisted strongly that you show no respect to your elders. Once again, I am envious of the talent of my fellow disciple. You asked why I can't make a move against you. Feng Xiao sighed, speaking of master uncle. But let the disciples. I don't know what to do. Since the disciple said, junior brother Yi Chen did such a thing, there is conclusive evidence. Can prove this point. Shishuzu refused to even listen, to rashly conclude. Disciples of extreme enlightenment. It's truly shameful. Could it be that in the eyes of my Shishuzu, disciple Yi Chen is always right in whatever he does? What others do is always wrong. Feng Xiao spoke neither humbly nor arrogantly, reasonable and well-founded. The old man was left speechless. You have to make the elder admit they were wrong. That is absolutely impossible. Just as the old man was pondering, what excuse should I come up with now, when it was time to refute the wind whistle? Suddenly, King Yangzi, who had been silent all along, spoke up. Finally spoke up good. In the end, who is right and who is wrong? When faced with a confrontation, the truth becomes clear. Fan Shao, you should have someone bring Yi Chen here. Let's see what he has to say. Elderly Wenyan. But it was impossible not to be startled. Actually, when Feng Xiao spoke of the words of caution, he then understood. Yi Chen's words of caution. How did it end up in hand? However, he didn't think Yi Chen was at fault. Instead, I feel that Yi Chen acts decisively when the time comes, not bound by worldly customs and laws, very aware of his exhaustion. Moreover, Yi Chen's aura is extraordinary. In the future, you will surely achieve great success, and oneself, as long as we keep supporting Yi Chen, so that one person can obtain it. The chickens and dogs have risen to the sky. But this kind of thing, after all, it's something that can't be explained. Even if the sky falls, it is wrong to attack a fellow disciple. It just violates the rules, especially having snatched away the sect's treasures. This behavior, even if expelled from the sect, it's all considered light. Other sects approach to such disciples. All are discarded and expelled from the sect. But since the old man has already taken a liking to Yi Chen, Then, naturally, one must protect the essence of this spirit. The old man's eyes shifted. I thought of a way. He waved his hand grandly. Let's not rush to investigate this matter for now. There is another matter. It is of utmost importance. King Yangzi asked. I don't know what you are referring to, master uncle. The old man smiled faintly. King Yangzi did not respond, but turned to Feng Xiao and said, Feng Xiao, I heard that you have been in the field for 30 years. Not yet broken through to the golden core stage. However, I am too insignificant. After all, it is a prestigious sect from the Eastern Jew. The great Saint Sun. How could it be like this? The qualified person takes the position. However, Yi Chen, 5 years in, to ascend to the innate realm of golden elixirs, even more within reach. Kitai's residence. It is indeed the most remarkable sight I have ever witnessed in my life. In my old man's view, this person holds the position of the holy son of our sect. It is more than enough. As soon as these words were spoken, King Yangzi and Feng Xiao both fell silent. Just said, Yi Chen's character is questionable. Now you say, to have him take on the position of the holy son. This statement. How did you say it? Feng Xiao is also a bit at a loss. Let's talk it out. Only those who speak can have reason. This old man is quite something. Just came over without any reason. How shameless! Invincible in the world. King Yangzi fell silent for half a moment. Just mentioned Shishu. Let's discuss this later. The old man became anxious. How can this work? Position of the Holy Son concerning the dignity of Grand Chancellor Zong. This matter is of utmost importance. No time to delay. Feng Xiao suddenly mentioned Shishu Zhu. Do you have high hopes for brother Yi Chen? When this holy son, however, there are over 100 disciples of Towei Zong, but there is a voto. Position of the son. It truly concerns the reputation of the sect. But the premises can unite the sects. If there is someone who is unfaithful and unfilial, unrighteous and unkind people, take on the position of the holy son, not only is it not appropriate in terms of etiquette, it is also hard to convince everyone. The old man was furious with Yi Chen. How could one be disloyal and unfilial, unrighteous and unkind? Feng Xiao said coldly, stealing from the sect. It is to train him for the unfaithful sect. But he had nothing to repay the sect. It is the time for the unfilial disciples to fight for the sect. He stood by and watched. It is unkind and unwise to stand idly by. He even went so far as to injure a fellow disciple. It is for injustice. Such disloyalty and unfilial behavior, those who are unkind and unjust, Shishuju spoke up to defend. It's truly puzzling and incomprehensible. Feng Xiao has figured it out. This old man, it has already become determined and shameless. Since that's the case, he didn't need to flatter him any more. Reverse. The old man became furious. Couldn't help but want to attack Feng Xiao. Although Feng Xiao appears to be doing nothing on the surface, but in fact, they were already secretly on guard. As long as that old man dares to make a move, he made the other party regret it. At the moment when the two were on the brink of confrontation. Yet King Yangzi angrily threatened to be reckless. Feng Xiao took a step back. Shui shu shili. The old man looked furious, his anger palpable. In the gaze of King Yangzi also brought anger, that aggressive stance. It's like saying, if you dare to defy me, definitely making you look good. King Yangzi was extremely angry with this master uncle. From the day this master uncle first entered the door, he discovered that this Shishu's mind, there seems to be a problem. However, considering the other party, It might be a mistake in my training. It caused problems in his mind. So he didn't think much of it. Just now, he sincerely felt, this old man, it's just a troublemaker. No matter how much you admire Yi Chen, you at least have to respect the facts, right? This is when they started to turn against their own. You still protect Yi Chen. Isn't this just nonsense? If it weren't for this old man. For the sake of being useful to myself, he really wanted to kick the old man out right away. King Yangzi took a deep breath. She then spoke in a calm tone. Yi Chen is an extraordinary talent. I see it too. But Feng Xiao questions Yi Chen's character. This matter is also understandable. Physician of the sect's holy son, this is a matter of great importance. Do not make hasty decisions. I decided 3 days later, at the sect's martial arts arena, 2 people are having a contest. The victor, you can take on the position of the Holy Son. Chapter 33. Fiv. After receiving King Yangzi's promise, the old man left with great satisfaction. Left King Yangzi, He Feng and his apprentice. After the wind whistle fell silent for too long, as soon as he opened his mouth, disciple no longer seen, King Yangzi simply smiled faintly. Said the wind whistle, I know you're not convinced in your heart, but true essence is not afraid of being tempered by fire. As long as you have enough strength, what is there to fear from the challenges of others? Feng Xiao said calmly. Then one can ignore character completely. King Yangzi's spell is not for the ordinary sage, who could be without faults. Yi Chen, despite his moral shortcomings, but if he could be given a chance, he may not be incapable of turning over a new leaf. Feng Xiao retorted, even the master may not say so. Does master have high expectations for Yi Chen? It is entrusted to these 2 uncertain words. As the wind whistle goes. This left King Yangzi speechless. Feng Xiao spoke to himself. Since the disciple joined the master's school, devote all efforts to nurture, pouring one's heart and soul into it, worrying day and night. How to strengthen the sect? The disciple questions himself about the significant contributions he has made to the sect. Not betraying the sect, but why can't the disciple hold the position of a holy son? A few days' time, I'm about to face 2 challenges in a row, and each time it was the position of the son that was wagered. Is it that in the eyes of the master, this position of the holy son, who is the strongest fighter, who is qualified to take on this role? A whistle of doubt. Instantly it made King Yangzi feel extremely irritated. He chuckled. Unhappily said, I am your master, the leader of the Teiwei sect. Let this matter be handled according to my wishes. Wind whistle. You must remember, no matter how high your status is in the sect, he is ultimately just my disciple. The wind whistle fell silent for half a moment. He let out a self-deprecating laugh. In the eyes of the master, the disciple has already gained great power overshadowing the master. Could it be that the master thinks, the disciple works tirelessly day and night. It's all for being in. Power within the sect. Waited for a long time. Feng Xiao did not wait for King Yangzi's reply. He could only let out a soft sigh, turning to leave, watching the silhouette of the wind whistler. King Yangzi's expression was grim. The wind whistle sounded after leaving the inner hall, did not return directly to their residence, but headed straight for Sanjai. After arriving at the place, Feng Xiao had a round of inquiries. However, it was discovered that Yi Chen was not on the mountain. As for where he actually went, yet no one knows. Feng Xiao slightly frowned. An inexplicable surge arose in my heart, a faint sense of foreboding. He doesn't know. This ominous premonition. Where do we come from? But his intuition told him, the child of Kai and rhythm descends the mountain. Most likely nothing good will come of it. But where can this night and morning go? Mo Dian, Feng Shao recalled a few days ago, encountered in Liang City, that gang of hoodlums. I recall what I saw in my past life, those fantasy novels. Feng Shao suddenly felt the place where Yi Chen is most likely to go. Perhaps it's Liang City. Thinking of this face, the wind whistle no longer hesitates. Immediately encounter a soaring rise, directly headed to Liang City. Night and morning are in the afternoon of that day. Arriving in Liang City, I don't know either. What is the wind whistle? Truly see through this. The behavior patterns of the son of Kai Yun. It was still night, except for Liang City. There's nowhere else I want to go. In summary, on Tewei Mountain, after staying for 2 days, a heart in the night and morning, restless again, so he ran to Liang City. Walking on the streets of Liang City, Yi Chen Don looks around. Sai Can Pan, quite pleased with oneself, just enjoying the stroll. An angry voice suddenly shouted, "It's you! You stole something from my house." Yi Chen was momentarily taken aback, until someone grabbed my clothes. Only then did I realize, looking again at the person tugging at their clothes. Suddenly, it was just a few days ago. Just met Deng Ying. Because Deng Ying is beautiful. Therefore, Yi Chen spoke to the girl, quite invested. At this moment, I realized the other person was actually pulling me. Still with an angry expression, couldn't help but ask in confusion, "Miss Deng, I haven't offended you, have I?" Deng Ying shouted angrily, "It's you. I kindly invited you to my home as a guest. But he stole something from my home. Hurry up and return the things. Otherwise, I reported it to the authorities." Since that day in Linglong Pavilion, after shooting the blood-chained sword, Deng Ying felt restless every day. He is very clear about stealing things. It is truly night and morning, but I didn't dare to tell my father. After all, if he hadn't brought people home, how could things go missing? His father is the manager of Linglong Pavilion, but he is not the owner of Linglong Pavilion. The true owner of Linglong Pavilion, it is the couple Lin Fengxian and Zio Royao from Yunjianj. So, if something is lost in Linglong Pavilion, the shopkeeper cannot escape blame. If this matter is known to Yunjianj, his father is the shopkeeper. I'm afraid it can't go on like this anymore. Worried about my father's future. Deng Ying has been unable to eat these days. Sleepless nights. Today I'm feeling irritable. He went out and strolled along the street. Unexpectedly, I ran into Yi Chen. Deng Ying was taken aback, then unexpectedly delighted. But soon anger returned. "You little thief! How dare you still show your face in Liang City? Really think you're the ant? I forgot about you." Thinking of this, Deng Ying rushed forward without hesitation, grabbed onto Yi Chen. If Yi Chen dares to act, he made the other party understand. The people of Yunjian are not so easy to bully. With Deng Ying's reminder, Yi Chen finally remembered. Things I did a few days ago. But he felt no guilt at all in his heart. Instead, it was somewhat infuriating. In his understanding, this crimson dragon sword belongs to him. No matter what the reason is that led to this sword, appeared in Linglong Pavilion. He has every reason to reclaim this sword. As for stealing, funny, the tale of the spirit of Kai. Can that be called stealing? So Yi Chen was not in the least bit flustered. Not only calm. He could even argue a few words with Deng Ying. So he acted very kindly. Said to Deng Ying, "Miss Deng, I want There may be some misunderstandings between us. You forgot the last time. Did I help you a lot? I don't ask for your return, but you don't know how to slander me like this. Speaking of this, Yi Chen felt a bit dissatisfied. He admitted to stealing the sword. What he did is indeed not very authentic, but he is also understandable. After all, that's his sword. But you can't let this matter. In front of a large crowd, say, I am a thief, right? Do I still need my face? Moreover, I helped you last time, didn't I? How can you repay kindness with enmity? Yechen immediately became confident and assertive. The tone of voice also seemed a bit firm. Deng Ying was almost amused to the point of laughter by Yi Chen. Help me. Do I need your help? No matter how much that jade pendant is worth. I, Miss Deng. It's not like I can't afford a jade pendant, right? It was you who suddenly appeared. Unexpected troubles arise. At this moment, it is said, you helped me a great deal, still holding onto gratitude and self-respect. Do you have any shame? Deng Ying almost understood. This night dawn. It's just a weirdo, even if it's just oneself, helping others with even a little thing. The city will always be remembered in my heart. But he has done it himself, harming others. He didn't take it to heart at all. Deng Ying simply ignored what Yi Chen was saying, just kept saying, hurry up and return what you stole. Otherwise, I will turn you over to the authorities. It seems that Deng Ying's intelligence has peaked this time. No matter how Yi Chen tries to argue, he kept insisting on reporting to the authorities. As the two of them, endless arguments and disputes. More and more bystanders gathered around to watch. Yi Chen defended himself for a few moments. Deng Ying is unyielding to persuasion, not thinking any more. With a flick of the wrist, Deng Ying pulled his hand away forcefully. He said coldly, you say, I stole something from your house. And where is the evidence? As soon as Yi Chen spoke these words, before Deng Ying could say anything, just listen to a bystander. Chai laughed and said, O night, the people in Liang City. Who doesn't know your hands and feet have always been dirty? You think you've joined the Teiwei sect. Things you have done before. Can it all be wiped away with a single stroke? Yi Chen was furious. The person speaking glared angrily. He said, try saying one more nonsense thing. Be careful, or I'll tear your dog's mouth apart. As soon as the words fell, onlookers, immediately many people started to stir. It's clearly you who has dirty hands. Still afraid of what others say. In the city of Liang, the most shameless, when it comes to you night and dawn. Yi Chen, I warn you not to be arrogant. Lord Saint Son of the Teiwei clan, but I said, who dares to rely on the name of General Zong? Doing evil deeds, he would make that person pay. Yi Chen, your brothers are done for. Your good days. It's almost over. Listening to so many people, everyone criticized Yi Chen. Deng Ying finally understood. It turns out that Yi Chen was already guilty of poor character, stealing chickens and sneaking around. I don't even know how many times I've done it. But this person shows no signs of repentance. Instead, it became even more severe. I couldn't help but look down on Yi Chen even more. He reached out again, pulling on Yi Chen's clothes. He said coldly, Yi Chen, so many people, they say your hands and feet are not clean. What else do you have to say? Yi Chen angrily laughed. With a wave of the hand, Deng Ying was pushed several meters away. He said coldly, I live my life in the night. No need to explain to others. You can say that I stole it if you want. It's fine if you say I stole it. You have the ability. Just take me to Giant Pass. Speak. Yi Chen no longer paid attention to everyone. Directly recall the longsword. The sword longs to fly away. Seeing Yi Chen wield the blood-chained sword, Deng Ying couldn't help but angrily say to you, "You still say I wronged you. Your sword, it was still stolen from my house. Stinky thief, quickly return the sword from my house." But Yi Chen completely ignored it. In the blink of an eye, it vanished without a trace. Chapter 34, Seeking Revenge. Yi Chen has left. But inside I was filled with indescribable anger. It's just a sword from Linglong Pavilion. That woman is truly ungrateful. In front of so many people. Accused her of being a thief. This is absolutely outrageous. There are also those onlookers. What are they worth? She used to just take. They are just some worthless little things. They actually, until today, still care about it. A group of petty things. Deserved to live a lifetime like this. Hiding as a commoner in Liang City. This moment, Yi Chen felt an overwhelming surge of killing intent. Long Yunai lion. To handle it is to face death. Since these guys are so ungrateful, then she doesn't need to either. Have been too soft-hearted towards these people. That night, in the dead of night, the night of the fantasy world, many times it is very calm. After all, there aren't many entertainment facilities at night. Moreover, lighting also costs money. The vast majority of ordinary families. In fact, I can't afford the lamp oil. So we can avoid lighting the lamp. Try not to turn on the lights. Therefore, the city of Liang at night. It was so dark that one could hardly see their own hand. But in the dark silence of Liang City, there are still a few places with lights on. One of the places, it is the Linglong Pavilion. As a subordinate merchant association of Yan Jianji, Linglong Pavilion is not short of money. Moreover, the Linglong Pavilion lighting, it's not relying on oil lamps either, but rather some magical items that can provide illumination. This magical artifact is very low grade. Besides lighting, there's no other use for it. So, even if placed outside the door, no one would steal it either. As for those, a family that can't even light an oil lamp at home. They watched. Aren't you envious? Greedy for something, but lack the courage to steal. Even if you have the guts to steal, not brave enough to use it. As for those brave enough to steal, generally I wouldn't think much of this. A small gadget meant only for lighting, because there is guidance from the light. Yi Chen effortlessly. They found Linglong Pavilion. Looking at the high sign of Linglong Pavilion, Yi Chen felt a deep sense of unease. On what basis? Why do these people can use so many good things, but I can only rely on my own efforts? Go get these. On what basis? Some struggle their whole lives. Things that cannot be obtained. Some people save up, yet possessed. HMPH. The good things in this world. The capable reside here. You don't have the right to use these things. It's better if I take control. At least I can make those magical weapons play a greater role. Thinking of this, Yechen no longer hesitated. With a leap, jumped into the courtyard of Linglong Pavilion. At this moment, Linglong Pavilion manager, sitting properly at the desk. What are you writing so intently? Blood-chained sword. It has been occupied for several days now. These past few days. She is at Linglong Pavilion. I searched high and low. Could not find any trace of the blood-chained sword. She also once doubted, is it the two siblings who took it? But immediately she vetoed this possibility. Blood-chained sword is such a weapon. generally untrained adults. It's exhausting to hold. Two children. How could it possibly be lifted? So she suspected more. Still in the Linglong pavilion. Is there an insider trader? But just today, she heard from someone nearby. I heard about what happened in the events on the streets of Liang City. Finally understood. How was the blood chain sword actually stolen? It turns out it was actually my daughter who caused the trouble, although stealing things, not his own daughter. After all, it was she who brought the person in. So she cannot escape blame, and the shopkeeper is her father. Nature also bears responsibility for oversight. Therefore, she must apologize to Linglong Pavilion. If one voluntarily admits guilt, we can still strive for leniency. If hidden and not reported, when the situation was exposed. So, punishment from Linglong Pavilion. It can also be very serious. So, in utter helplessness, the shopkeeper had no choice but to write a letter of apology, then hand it over to Deng Ying. Let Deng Ying take the letter, head to Linglong Pavilion located on Jiushan Peak, and he then began to arrange the aftermath. After this matter, Linglong Pavilion's manager in Liang City, it's certain that a change is needed. Before the new shopkeeper arrives, she needs to first settle the accounts and other related matters. Everything must be arranged properly. Just as she was writing furiously, suddenly a faint sound came from the courtyard. The shopkeeper frowned. A faint sense of unease began to stir within me. She stopped the pen in her hand. A casual move, a metal ruler over a foot long, appeared on her hand. She opened the door, looking into the courtyard. Suddenly, I saw someone dressed in Tewei sect robes, disciples' attire, standing in the courtyard. The shopkeeper immediately noticed the attire. I thought it was Feng Xiao suddenly coming to visit. Ti Suiji. She then realized the visitor is not the wind whistle. The shopkeeper squinted, staring at the unexpected guest in front of me. He asked his friend coldly, "Late night visit," uncertain of the reason. Yi Chen glanced at the shopkeeper. He said softly, "Collected debt." The shopkeeper said, "This has all arrived. There have always been only outsiders. You owe me a debt from Linglong Pavilion. When will I be at Linglong Pavilion? Still owe a debt to others." Yi Chen gave a cold smile, said, "Settle a debt of humiliation." The shopkeeper's eyes narrowed slightly. "Speaking of friends, feel free to speak your mind. Look at your attire. It should be someone devoted to the clan. Gui Song Shangzai Feng Xiao. I have a deep friendship with Linglong Pavilion. If there is any misunderstanding, for the sake of your esteemed clan's holy son, it's not that we can't talk." Unexpectedly, the night dawned. After hearing the name Feng Xiao, a murderous intent suddenly flashed in his eyes. She gritted her teeth and said, "Wind whistle." "Feng Xiao, the wind whistle again. Why are you people like this? Everyone is talking about this wind whistle. Where do I have in the early morning? Not as good as this. A guy who seeks fame and attention, just relying on. It's just that I started early. Sooner or later, one day, I will kill with my own hands this damned hypocrite." The shopkeeper heard this, suddenly understood. The person in front of me is coming over tonight. It's coming to kill. If not, the other party will not reveal anything either. My own name. Then the shopkeeper Tai Chai made up his mind. He said calmly, "Yan Ji's subordinate, Linglong Pavilion manager. Deng Su, please make your move, my lord." A hint of a smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. "With a smile I make my move. The undead cannot stop," the shopkeeper coldly said. to death. It's still uncertain who it is. Your grand speech. It's too early to say. Yechen drew the blood-chained sword. Zhai Zhai Zhang Gui remembered. I am the one who will kill you, Yi Chen. After meeting Yan Wanjai, don't get the name wrong. Before the words fell silent, he swung his sword at the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper held an iron tooth. Rather than standing together, when the two started fighting, Feng Shao has a little girl fostered here, sitting cross-legged on the bed. Try to practice Kai. Although Feng Shao's little manual on Kai cultivation, the difficulty has been reduced as much as possible, able to be understood by the vast majority of ordinary people. But the little girl, after all, I never went to school, Ran Ziyu Scian, understanding of words and phrases, is also quite superficial. These days, with the help of the shopkeeper and her daughter, the little girl has finally started to learn, but until now, still unable to circulate the true energy through a complete cycle. But the little girl was quite diligent. As long as there is free time, then practice meditation and breathing. In the past few days, she can clearly feel the internal true energy is continuously growing. The heart became increasingly joyful, especially thinking about when Feng Shao comes over next time, seeing one's own progress, and the surprised expression revealed. The little girl couldn't contain her excitement. Master will definitely praise me, right? But with the little girl, a striking contrast. It's her brother, her younger brother. Perhaps it's because of my young age. Too playful, still not interested in cultivation. These days, they are completely uninterested in practicing their energy cultivation, regardless of Deng Ying's persuasion, still under the pressure of Sister King's fists and kicks. This kid just refuses to practice his Kai, even forcing her to meditate. She can only endure for the duration of a single incense stick. Then they will become impatient. In desperation, little girl can only give up for now, persuading my brother to cultivate. However, she felt in her heart, understanding the benefits of cultivation, will actively cultivate. At this moment, while she was meditating and regulating her breath, her younger brother then lay on another bed, sleeping soundly. But halfway through sleeping, the little boy couldn't help it. Rubbing my eyes, I sat up. Pouting, she called out, "Sister, it's so noisy outside. I can't sleep." The little girl has not yet entered the door. Thus, the meditation is very shallow. At this moment, I was interrupted by my younger brother. She couldn't help but furrow her brows, just about to drink the wings, but heard something outside. The sound of clattering and rattle echoed. When the little girl entered a meditative state, single-minded focus, perception of the outside world is weak, but that, after finishing the meditation, the sounds from outside, clear and straightforward, it reached her ears. She was curious in her heart, whispered to my younger brother, "You stay inside the house first. I'll go outside and take a look." The little boy nodded innocently, looking at my sister, tiptoed out of the room they lived in, located in the courtyard, a relatively secluded location. A turn needs to be taken. Only then could they arrive at the courtyard. The little girl arrived at the corner, peeking around cautiously, looking towards the courtyard, but saw two figures, engaged in a fierce battle. One of them uses a sword. Evrola, a fierce battle ensued, planted in the courtyard. A lot of flowers and plants. All are innocently affected by this, but the two seemed oblivious. The more they played, the more immersed they became. All the tricks are out of my hands. The shopkeeper's expression grew serious. Every move is precise and deliberate. though difficult to see, the deadly strike. But for oneself, but it is watertight. Occasionally making a move often yields remarkable results. Forced Yi Chen to defend himself. Looking at Yi Chen again. Killing intent fills the air. Extremely ruthless in action. But it's clear they lack experience against the enemy. Only know how to attack, but unaware of defense. Add more. The realm is a level lower than the shopkeepers. Yi Chen's words. The relentless onslaught. It was all resolved by the shopkeeper's intervention. The battle situation has fallen into a stalemate. Yi Chen felt anxious. The movements became increasingly chaotic, not knowing the rules. The shopkeeper remains steadfast. Even when swords clash, one must not rush in. Just a steady approach, one move at a time. Yi Chen was very clear. If this continues like this, perhaps I'll fall here. This person is an acquaintance of Feng Shao. This matter will inevitably be reported to Feng Shao afterwards. Feng Shao obtained his leverage afterward. How could they let him go? I'm afraid my cultivation is in ruins. Being expelled from the mountain gate is a light punishment. Just thinking about this. Yi Chen felt increasingly anxious. He began to regret. This time my quest for revenge was too hasty. It should be after being promoted to the golden course stage before coming. Then we can be sure of victory. It's a pity. He has always been smooth sailing. Leads to inflated self-confidence, thinking one can rely on their current level. We can securely take control of Linglong Pavilion. Unexpectedly, this mere shopkeeper. Surprisingly strong as well. Yi Chen now feels. Perhaps I should consider escaping first. The matter of revenge. We'll have to talk about it later. Just waiting for Master Uncle. That old man can ensure his own safety. I won't let myself be driven out of the mountain gate by the wind. Thinking of this, Yi Chen began to look around, start searching for the opportunity to escape. At that moment, a tender voice. Suddenly, Uncle Deng spoke up. What are you all doing? What are you doing so late at night? Aren't you going to sleep yet? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was astonished. The little girl quickly turned around, but I saw my younger brother rubbing his eyes, staring blankly at the courtyard. Two people are fighting, the shopkeeper and Yi Chen. Upon seeing the little boy and the little girl, in an instant, however, their faces changed at the same time. The difference is, Yi Chen felt a surge of joy in his heart, but the shopkeeper secretly thought it was not good. Indeed, the heavens do not deceive me. Yi Chen thought. Chapter 35, File. Yi Chen didn't think twice. Towards the little girl and the little boy, rushing over, the shopkeeper hurriedly chased after him. Tai Chai slapped Yi Chen's back hard. If Yi Chen wants to take the little girl hostage. So this iron tooth. Just at the moment he took the little girl hostage. Take half of his life. However, Yi Chen seemed to. I anticipated this move long ago. When rushing in front of the little girl, grabbed the little girl, yet turned a blind eye and didn't look back. Suddenly threw it at the shopkeeper. Yi Chen exerted great force. The shopkeeper knew at a glance. If we don't take in the little girl, that little girl will surely be thrown to her death. The shopkeeper is helpless. Only to keep the iron teeth hidden. Caught the little girl. Blocked by Yi Chen like this. The shopkeeper couldn't catch up with Yi Chen. For Yi Chen took this opportunity. A sudden leap. Rushed in front of the little boy. The little boy felt a blur in front of him. The body tilted slightly. It turns out to be Yi Chen, grabbed without any courtesy. The shopkeeper is curious that you are a disciple of the Teiwei sect, to resort to such despicable means. Aren't you ashamed? Yi Chen sneered. The victor will become king and the vanquished will become the bandit. You can't control what methods I use." Before the voice fell silent, Yi Chen flicked his hand. Once again the little boy was thrown towards the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper quickly reached out to catch it. However, the moment I came into contact with the little boy, he felt a sharp pain in his chest. He looked down in disbelief. Only a blood-red sword tip was visible, through the body of the little boy, directly pierced into his chest. Despicable! The shopkeeper gritted his teeth and cursed. Yi Chen laughed heartily. All warfare is based on deception. You should blame. You can only blame yourself for being too soft-hearted. Yi Chen has always believed in those who achieve great things, by any means necessary, using two small children as tools. For him, it's nothing at all. He instead felt that, like the shopkeeper, to save someone who disregards their own safety, truly exceedingly foolish. I held deep contempt for him in my heart. At this moment, the shopkeeper felt a surge of vitality throughout his body, all flow along the blade of the blood-red sword. Clearly, that long sword, sucking his golden blood. Yi Chen wielded the blood-chained sword, absorbed the golden blood of the shopkeeper. I feel completely relaxed all over. Even the cultivation level, all have slightly improved as a result. He felt himself absorbing the golden blood, the pleasure it brings. An abnormal redness surfaced on the face. He smiled as he looked at the shopkeeper. Speaking of the old man, before death, is there nothing you want to say? The shopkeeper was panting heavily, speaking softly. These two children, they are all innocent. Please let them go. Yi Chen glanced over. The boy was already breathless like a thin thread. Took another glance. Stunned in place, staring foolishly at the scene before me, the little girl who took a long time to come to her senses. Shook his head. That won't do. They all know. Who am I now? So we cannot keep them. The shopkeeper angrily said, They are just children. It poses no threat to you at all. Why must you leave no survivors? Yi Chen smiled. Because of cutting grass. Must uproot. Speak. Yi Chen suddenly accelerated. The blood-chained sword absorbs golden blood at an incredible speed. The shopkeeper let out a terrible scream. Suddenly the whole person felt, like a balloon that has been let go, instantly dried up. Watching oneself, it is a matter of time before death arrives. He held on stubbornly. Extend a finger, with a gaze full of hatred, staring at Yi Chen. Hissing voice said, You won't have a good ending. As soon as the words fell, the shopkeeper was like, dry branches are usually, fell helplessly to the ground. No more silence. Was the little boy held in his arms? At this moment there was also complete silence. The blood-chained sword's ability to absorb golden blood. Even someone like him, the cultivator of the realm of fright, cannot withstand it. The little boy, naturally, can't hold on any longer. The little girl looked at the scene before her. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. He murmured, Xiao Bao, shopkeeper uncle. Yi Chen drew out his long sword, let the shopkeeper and the little boy, fell to the ground. He slowly walked towards the little girl. A hint of regret flickered in his gaze. What a pity. You little girl, it looks quite nice. Maybe in the future she'll grow up to be a great beauty. But now, I can only ask you to set off on your journey now, beneath the 9 springs. Don't blame me. I was forced into this. Speaking, Yi Chen raised the blood-chained sword high, swinging the sword at the little girl, looking at the little girl, about to be killed by Yi Chen with a single sword strike. At this moment, a sudden sound echoed through the sky. Roaring assistant, Yi Chen was taken aback, without thinking, then flew backward. The next moment, a blade of sword energy. Descending from the sky, it struck fiercely at the spot where Yi Chen had just been. Yi Chen looked up at the sky with a troubled expression. Yet Feng Xiao was looking at him with a murderous expression. Feng Xiao knew that Yi Chen is an unconventional person. Tooth for a tooth. But I didn't expect it. He actually dares to lay hands on civilians. Took a glance. The shopkeeper and the little boy were completely silent. Took another glance. Standing there in a daze. Still not recovered from the recent upheaval. The little girl who came to her senses. Feng Xiao slightly squinted his eyes. Only see the grip tightening even more. He coldly glanced at Yi Chen. The cold voice said, "Yi Chen, you don't just act against your fellow disciples. Still killing innocents. You have already violated the rules of our sect. Severe crimes and sins. Today I declare in the name of the Holy Son of the sect. Your name is a perfect example." Yi Chen looked at Feng Xiao, grinding teeth in anger. "Feng Xiao, stop pretending to be a good person here. This world, it was always a survival of the fittest. I merely killed a few insignificant ants. Why must you go against me? Ants?" Feng Xiao was enraged to the utmost. "You say others are like ants. But have you ever thought about it? How others see you? Also just ants. Since you think killing one or two civilians is nothing. So does that mean I should kill you now? You should also be indisputable." Yi Chen couldn't help but widen his eyes. "Are you really going to kill me? People like you who trample on human life. I won't kill you. Do I really have to let you live in this chaotic world?" Feng Xiao let out a furious shout. Sound of shooting stars. A sword fiercely struck towards Yi Chen. Feng Xiao, under the wrath of the divine, already exerted all my strength. Yi Chen only felt a blur before his eyes. The glowing sword flashed brightly, came across the sky. Yi Chen felt a cold sweat in his heart, quickly swung the sword to block. The next moment, with a single sound, Yi Chen felt as if his chest had been struck hard. The entire person was sent flying by Feng Xiao's sword strike. Before Yi Chen could adjust himself in mid-air, Feng Xiao rushed forward again, with a swing of the long sword. The fierce sword energy. Suddenly, it flew directly towards Yi Chen. Yi Chen exerted all his strength to swing the sword. It only blocked a little more than half, the remaining small portion of sword energy. But it truly hit him directly. As Yi Chen let out a cry of anguish, sword energy slicing through the air, swooping past Yi Chen, the blood gushed forth like trails left by airplanes. Just a glance. Yi Chen was utterly beaten by Feng Xiao. He never thought about it. It turns out that a gentle and pleasant-looking Feng Xiao, like a good-natured person, ignite the fire. It is truly terrifying. This made the usually confident and arrogant Yi Chen uncontrollably in my heart. A sense of comfort emerged, but the next moment he clenched his teeth. A spirit of determination arose within. On what basis? Why is this Wen Xiao so strong? I, Yi Chen, am no worse than him at all. He practiced for 30 years. Still not entered the realm of a golden elixir. Am I not even as good as such a useless person? Watching as they walked slowly towards me. Wen Xiao, like a judge from hell. Yi Chen struggled to prop himself up, roaring angrily against the wind. "Why are you pressuring me like this? I'm just killing a person, that's all. You actually want to kill me. People like you just can't stand to see me happy. I do this. It's all because of you pushing us." Feng Shao's gaze was cold and chilling. Although the road, one's own intentions are not upright, but shifted the responsibility onto others. Yi Chen, Yi Chen, people like you, no matter how much one cultivates, it cannot bear fruit. Yi Chen was furious about my fate. I don't need someone like you to decide. My fate is determined by me, not by heaven. Speak up. Yi Chen suddenly lunged towards the blood-chained sword, spit out a mouthful of blood. On the originally dim blood-chained sword suddenly released a dazzling red light, illuminating Yi Chen's twisted and fierce face. It all became eerie and unsettling. Yi Chen said ominously, "Feng Shao, don't you think? Are you better than me? I see how you can still compete with me now." Before the words had finished speaking, Yi Chen swung his sword and rose, the enchanting red sword blade. In mid-air, a bright red beam of light swept across. The wind gently swayed. Feng Shao looked at Yi Chen, said softly, "Yi Chen, you have been possessed. That was forced by you too." In Yi Chen's roar, the enchanting red sword light, winding its way here. Feng Shao sheathed the long sword at his side. When the sword light is about to fall, Kai swung his sword fiercely. The carefree 36 swords. Ju Faiao sword absolute, unlike other swords. Other swords are unmatched. Then dozens of moves. At least 3 to 5 moves. And this Faiao sword is unrivaled. There is only one move. No matter if this move is a chop or a slash. Is it a stab or a cut? In summary, it's just one move, gathering true essence, concentrated in this strike, can exert far beyond the strength of one's own realm. The great pang rises with the wind in a single day, soaring straight up for 90,000 miles. A swift and unmatched silver sword light slipped away. With the red sword light, a thunderous collision. After a loud crash, red sword light, it was unexpectedly split apart by a single sword strike. But the silver sword knight did not understand. After breaking through the red sword light, flying straight towards Yi Chen's neck. As Yi Chen looked on, about to have my hand severed by a sword. However, at that moment, a figure suddenly blocked in front of Yi Chen. The horizontal sword blocked the beam of sword light. A deafening boom echoed. That figure, along with Yi Chenjun, blown away several meters. It is evident how powerful the sword's light is. But this is a deadly strike. But it was blocked right here. Feng Shao looked at the sword across his chest. The elder stood ready, prepared for anything. The old man intended to voice his doubts about the wind whistle first. Unexpectedly, the wind whistle spoke first, without a moment's hesitation, but soon after he turned back. "You brat, how dangerous you are! How dare you act against a fellow disciple? I must clean up the house today." Feng Shao squinted his eyes at the old man. He sneered. "Do you have something on your mind?" "Not quite sure." The old man couldn't help but ask, "What do you mean by that?" Feng Shao sneered. Once the Teiwei clan was known for. Disciples under the door began to leave one after another. "You old man, it's just one of them. You have long since left the sect, the traitor of countless years. What qualifications do you have to be here, relying on one's seniority to show off? I see that you are older. I don't want to argue with you. I respect my elders, so I call you Shishuzu. In my eyes, what do you think you are? This old man is biased and gullible. The wind whistle has completely disappeared. Plans to communicate with this old man. Let's just tear off the mask right here." Chapter 36. Heart Knot. The old man was scolded by the wind. Her face changed from pale to flushed. in a fit of anger and shame, couldn't help but shout, "You little brat, show some respect to your elders. I have to stand in for your master today. I'll teach you a good lesson. The cold laughter of the wind whistle teaches me. You have this ability. Still have this qualification. Do you think I don't have the ability to teach you a lesson? Then you might as well give it a try." The wind whistle reached out. Again from the storage ring, "Take out a long sword." He wields 2 swords. Made a gesture to begin. The cold voice said, "I, in the name of the Holy Son of Tewe sect, today, clean up the front door, eliminate the traitors from your 2 sects. Bastard, you actually dare to lay a hand on Master Uncle." The old man also drew a long sword. 2 eyes stared fiercely at the wind whistle. The previous move of the wind whistle, the soaring sword Kai. Let the elderly finally realize the strength of the wind whistle, far stronger than he imagined. I don't know either. Where did this opportunity for the wind whistle come from? I can't believe they can use such a powerful sword technique. So facing the wind whistle, the old man may be stubborn, but had to take it seriously. However, just as the two were in a tense standoff, a sudden shout from the sky commanded, "Stop." The wind whistled as it gazed at the sky. Only King Yangzi was floating in the sky, looking at the crowd with a serious expression. He first stopped the wind whistle and the old man from acting, then began to observe the situation in the courtyard. Seeing him lying on the ground again, the shopkeeper no longer resembled a human. Behind the bodies of the little boy and the 2 of them, King Yangzi's expression suddenly turned unpleasant. Yi Chen saw King Yangzi suddenly appear. Suddenly my heart felt cold. He is very clear. This time I broke the rules. Moreover, the crime is serious. If there are no accidents, being expelled from the sect is inevitable. Maybe the cultivation will be abolished. However, immediately, suddenly, a spark of inspiration flashed through my mind, thinking of a possibility. So he hurriedly rushed towards the Kinyangzi in the sky, shouting to the sect leader, "Master Uncle, senior brother Shengzi kills the innocent indiscriminately." The disciples stopped him from committing murder, but instead found themselves facing a drawn sword. Thanks to Master Uncle. Timely arrival of the disciple. Only by skill can one escape disaster. Please, Master, uphold justice. Feng Shao glanced at him, said coldly,